cool drink from the pump. Should be coming up on the left, and here it is. Just like in the book. This road really hasn't changed much at all. There's a place to park the bike near some picnic tables under a shelter, and the grass drops down to a stream behind the trees. To one side is the iron hand pump that's mentioned in the book. It still draws cool water. The spout is opposite the pump, so I have to dash around with my hands cupped to catch the gushing water. I capture just a trickle. I have no proper cup. The Zen riders would have brought a cup. Besides, there were 4 of them, enough for one to pump and another to drink. I'm on my own today. Those Zen riders, they're why I'm here. Robert Pirsig and his 11-year-old son, Chris, on Pirsig's old 28-horsepower, 305cc Honda Superhawk CB77, and Pirsig's friends John and Sylvia Sutherland on their new BMW R62. They were making a long summer ride back in 1968, and then Pirsig went and wrote about it, and his book became a bestseller. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance is still in bookstores, and of the 5 million copies sold, 2 are in my saddlebags. One of those 2 books is an early edition, liberated from the bookshelf in my aunt's living room years ago, because it had a picture of a motorcycle on its pink cover. The other is the 25th anniversary edition, larger and a little revised. And now here, at the first stop mentioned in the book, it's the pink edition I pull out and read a while, lying back on the grass. I've always been curious about this book, although it took years for me to read it all the way through. I pulled it from that bookshelf one quiet afternoon, settled on the sofa, and was captivated by its first pages, by the evocative description of these ponds and marshes and the writer's gentle progress. It tells the story of a man and his son, ostensibly Pirsig and Chris, on a vacation trip to San Francisco by motorcycle from their home in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is the framework for a multi-layered, intricately structured narrative that is far more about their personal struggles with inner demons than it is about getting to the coast. It's also the platform from which Pirsig explores and explains his philosophy. Only a few pages in, the narrator wanders from his road trip to lament the lack of quality in his modern-day America, and that's when my teenage attention tuned out. I took the book home anyway. There was something about that illustration on the back cover, a guy standing with his son beside a motorcycle, looking away to the horizon. A dozen years later, halfway through Philosophy 101 and getting nowhere, I found the book again and gave it another try. Reading slowly but steadily, I made it to the mountains of Montana before the term ended, and other courses overwhelmed me. Something had clicked, though. Maybe it was Pirsig's luggage list, his rhyming off of the same sweaters and gloves and rain gear that I'd grown accustomed to packing for frantic weekend trips to the mountains on my sport bike. More likely it was the items on the list that made us different. Rope, when I carried bungee cords, goggles instead of a full-face helmet, a cold chisel, a taper punch, and point files for those mysterious workings inside the bike's engine, when I carried just a pair of vice grips. Both of us were looking for the same thing from our travels, just using different tools. It wasn't until last summer that I picked up the book for a third time, looking for something to read on the first vacation in 5 years, during which I could relax from some of the responsibilities of parenthood. That time, reading with a whole new perspective, I sailed right through. The guy got it. He wasn't just looking for a nice vacation. He wanted to figure out quality as a thing in itself, not just a description, a noun, not an adjective. He wanted to learn what's needed for his life, my life, everyone's life, to move up a notch, to be the best it can be, truly harmonious in a world swamped by so many improvements that they buckle under the weight of their time-saving intentions. For me, as a busy parent juggling work with family, that perspective struck close to home. But it's showing its age, this book.